Some Democrats are actually doing the messaging thing right now, and I kind of want to celebrate that. We're going to be watching some videos today, and that's not because I'm lazy and don't want to do a lot of talking. It's because I want you all to get a sense of Democrats doing this right and communicating in ways that can actually be successful and, God forbid, get people to show up at the ballot box. Let's start with something a little sillier that's not as substantive, but I just want to watch it because it's funny. Zohran's Bachelor-themed ad.
You deserve better. You deserve to be able to raise your family here, to be safe, to travel where you need to, free of costs and worry. You deserve someone who works as hard as you do, who thinks about you every second of the day. That's the kind of mayor I promise to be. New York, will you accept this rose?
Paid for by Zohran for NYC.
It's like, God forbid, we get a drop of personality in this party and we get people who seem like they're people who are not forcing this image of I'm interested in the things that you are, but playing into things in our culture that actually speak to people. I know that this seems kind of like a no-brainer, but then, you look around and you're like, okay, how many people are actually doing this? Because it's like you get two types of Democrats in terms of messaging right now. You get the ones who are completely hapless, boring, and pathetic, like a Hakeem Jeffries. And then you get people who are kind of try-hard and attempting to, seem personable and meme-friendly, but it just comes off so fake. And then I guess there's like a third kind, which is whatever the fuck Gavin Newsom's doing, posting AI videos of like the meme-ified JD Vance talking about how he likes to fuck couches and tweeting in all caps doing the Trump kind of format, which is interesting and it seems to be popular with a lot of people. We talk sometimes on this show about how it's important to not overestimate Gavin Newsom's popularity with people who aren't like already kind of blue no matter who resistance libs, but that's another conversation. But Zohran is really shaking it up, and so are Bernie and AOC. And I'm going to show you a video that's a little long right now, but I want you to take it in because I think that it's very educational in terms of communication and how we can tell Americans what the fuck is going on, even when it seems impossible. Here's Bernie and AOC.
Hey everybody, I was walking here in Washington, D.C., and who did I bump into? One of my favorite members of the United States Congress, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
And one of my favorite senators.
All right. Anyhow, as everybody knows, we are now in a government shutdown. Republicans are attacking Alexandria, attacking me. Why didn't you vote for this clean CR to keep the government open?
Well, there's nothing clean about it. This is one of the dirtiest tricks that is being pulled on the American people right now. Starting today, October 1st, and throughout the rest of the month, Americans across this country are going to start getting notifications that their insurance premiums are up to doubling. We're talking about...
Say that again.
Your monthly insurance premiums are going to double for millions of people across the country.
At a time when we are already paying, by far, the highest prices in the world for healthcare at a time when people can't afford it right now. So what happens?
That means people getting bankrupt over chemotherapy, people going to the pharmacy and not being able to get their insulin. And frankly, it means a lot of Americans are going to be in danger. And Republicans want us to rubber stamp that. So what are we going to say to that, Bernie?
Well, I'll tell you, it's not only be in danger. Let's be clear. And it doesn't make me happy to have to say this, but there have been studies out there that when you combine doubling premiums for the ACA and then throwing 15 million people off of Medicaid and the ACA, the result is, according to studies at Yale and the University of Pennsylvania, 50,000 low-income, working-class Americans will die every single year. All right? If you don't have the money to go to a doctor and you're sick, you die. And that's what we're looking at. That's what this clean bill is about.
And so Republicans want us to rubber stamp that. And we're saying no. We need to stand up for the American people. We need to stand up for our healthcare system. And if they want our votes, they need to make sure that we're protecting every American and making sure that we can do what we can to continue to make healthcare accessible, affordable, as we work to make it a human right for all.
Right. So let me just back that up. Remember, right now, our healthcare system is broken. Right now, we're the only major country on earth not to guarantee healthcare to all people. And these guys want to make it even worse. We're not going to let that happen.
No, we're not.
Thank you.
Onward.
And it really goes to show there's a degree to which you can't manufacture authenticity. It's something I say all the time. You know, you got guys like Richie Torres who, when they talk about their defense of funding Israel bombs and things like that, there's this robotic sensibility that really kind of elucidates to me the fact that the people who don't mean it are not going to be able to seem like they mean it. Right? Like even Newsom. I think Newsom's effective where he's effective. I think he does some good stuff. I'm not a blind Newsom hater. I'm just a Newsom skeptic in a way that a lot of people aren't right now. And I don't blame them for feeling that way because he is putting up a fight at a time where we feel like not enough people are doing that. But what I'm saying is like Newsom does not come off as a sincere person. He comes off as competent to many people and he comes off as a good communicator. But I don't think he is really giving, I go to bed at night thinking about the people who are going to be affected by this legislation. I think Gavin Newsom goes to bed at night thinking about Gavin Newsom. And you can give me shit for it all you want, but to be clear, I support things that Newsom does that I think are good. And if he, by some strange stroke of fate, becomes the Democratic nominee in 2028, I will support him, although I really don't think that's going to happen because Newsom is extremely unpopular with people who are not already stands of his. And I don't think voters who are either non-engaged and would respond to a progressive will go for Newsom. And I don't think independents will go for Newsom. I think he's just a Democrats only guy. But moral of the story is in this video, you see Bernie and AOC mean what they say and say what they mean. And that resonates with people, especially as it pertains to healthcare. Healthcare is such a winning issue for Democrats, especially when they take progressive stances on it. And if they actually talk about the human toll of these things in a way that people can really understand, it's effective. And it's even effective to MAGA podcast bros who the Democratic Party thought they'd lost forever, like Andrew Schultz. Let's see what he says about people like Zohran and AOC.
The only party right now that to me seems America first is the Democrat Socialist Party.
Yep.
Bernie is America first. Mamdani and all his ideas that he will not be able to execute, and I frankly think many of them are not good ideas, but he is no doubt New York first. The policies seem to want to help people here. That's what I care about. If MAGA wants to take this America first thing back, they got to start looking out for America, and it doesn't seem like they're doing. Lying to Americans is not America first. There is one lie, which is Epstein did not have a blackmail ring on all these very influential people. And by saying that that didn't happen, you have to tell a lot of other little lies. Every one of them just pulls a little piece of thread away from the fabric. And we're starting to see right through it now, and it's just embarrassing.
We haven't lost a certain type of person forever. I think a lot of Democrats want to push this narrative that there's a certain type of American who can't be reached. But as we see, these Americans can be reached by progressives, particularly because progressives come off as more authentic because they're advocating for something that they are morally compelled to advocate for. They're not playing politics the same way that moderates are playing politics. And, you know, when you get moderates who are only serving the system and trying to operate as cogs in the system, it's really hard to get them to speak to people. Yeah, and that's not a blanket statement. I think that there's certain moderates who can speak to certain people. I think Pete Buttigieg, though I have plenty of problems with him, is extremely effective at this. I mean, he cannot get himself to poll at 1% with Black Americans, but with a lot of people, his communication skills work. But the other thing that I think a lot of progressives are doing effectively right now is fostering a sense of joy and hope and possibilities. Whereas there's this kind of doomerism to a lot of other Democrats that I don't really see as appealing to people. Zohran's campaign, AOC and Bernie's public messaging, they want to coalesce a sense of hope. And one of the things that this is something my favorite movie reviewer, David Ehrlich, who I rarely agree with, but he's one of the best in the game. He said this in his review of the movie Wicked, something along the lines of, Donald Trump was able to spread fear more effectively than Kamala Harris was able to inspire hope. And inspiring hope is very important because people are not just going to fight against what seems like an impossible battle versus the forces of doom. They want to fight for something. And it's not just about policy, although being policy first and putting progressive policies forward is so important. They also want to believe that there is hope in the future and joy. And we feel very bereft of that right now. Let's take a look at Bernie and Zohran just having a fucking conversation and eating food like regular people.
You know, Bernie, this means so much to me because we are sitting here in one of my favorite restaurants in Astoria, Sammy's Kebab House, in the heart of my district as an assembly member. And my journey in running for office in the first place, I launched on October 18th, 2019. And the first event that we had, it was to your Queensbridge rally. We got $1, $5, $10 donations. We got emails. I was being interviewed by journalists from Belgium. I couldn't even get an interview from anybody in Astoria.
So you took Belgium better than nothing.
And I remember you walking out to Back in Black by AC/DC and sharing your vision for what this country could be. The path that you have tread that we now walk on, it is the energy that has powered so many of us for so long. So
It's very kind of you. That means a lot to me. Look, nobody is an island into himself or herself, right? We all got it from somebody else, and I got it from other people, and you're going to be in a position to do a whole lot.
When you were the mayor of Burlington, you would also speak up against U.S. foreign policy. How would you balance leading the city and speaking up for these values?
Here's what I found. I'll never forget this. First of all, you got to do your job. You're not running for president of the United States. You're running for mayor of New York City, a city which, like every other city in America, has significant problems. That is your job. But sometimes, as the leader of a great city, you do have a right to reflect the views of the people in your cities. And what I can tell you, having been all over this country, is that the American people do not want to continue to spend billions of dollars supporting Netanyahu's extremist government, wreaking havoc and destruction on the Palestinian people, and now, in fact, resulting in starvation. So standing up for justice is what the American people want. Just the other day, our friend Mr. Musk is in line for, I mean, it's so insane. What was it, $900 billion bonus?
He would be a trillionaire.
And yet, in this city, you got people sleeping out on the streets.
And your slogan when you ran was, Burlington's not for sale?
That was another issue.
I wish it wasn't resonant, but as you've said, that we have to say that New York City is not for sale is something that many New Yorkers have been thinking of, especially with Trump trying to intervene in this election.
Look, one of the things that the whole country is noticing and why your race is so important, it's not just your ideas. The real question here is whether the will of people will prevail, whether the oligarchs and the billionaires will continue to run the city. If you can defeat the oligarchs here and say, you know what, New York City is not for sale. We're going to listen to the people, not the big money interest. That will send a message to every community in America that real change is possible.
There's this thing Bernie does where he's talking about his foes and he says Mr. and then their last name. And there's something I love about that. It's such a great way to frame people as villains. When he's talking about when he was talking about Mike Bloomberg, I remember I spoke at a Bernie rally in Las Vegas in 2020. This was a couple days before the whole country shut down for COVID. And I introduced him and gave a little speech. He was getting a lot of heat for some pro-gun policies and the NRA being friendly with him, which is something that's just going to happen when you're a politician in Vermont, which is a state full of hunters. So I was kind of playing defense for Bernie alongside some other gun violence prevention activists and talking about Bernie is the strongest on healthcare, and gun violence is inextricably tied to healthcare for a variety of reasons. But anyway, I was speaking at a Bernie thing. He comes out and he's talking about Mike Bloomberg, because at this point, Mike Bloomberg is running against Bernie and Biden. He's spending $1 trillion, paying people exorbitant amounts of money. But we should do a Bloomberg 2020 postmortem on this channel, because I think it would be really interesting. But Bernie comes out and he's talking about him and he's like, Mr. Bloomberg. And I don't know. I like it. I think it's a cool way to talk about your foes. But I think progressives are actually winning the messaging war right now. And I think that moderates can do the same thing, not just make videos and try to use cool news slang, but they can center the same issues progressives are centering, because all the same things are under attack, regardless of your solutions. Mind you, they should be presenting the same solutions that progressives are. But if you target the right things that Republicans are dismantling right now, it's going to resonate with people. And one of the biggest issues for people everywhere is what's going on with healthcare. So take a note from how the progressives are messaging. Leave a comment down below. I'm not really good at prompting these. Leave a comment down below of who you think the most attractive elected official in office is. I'll have our producer Dante scan them and see who wins, and we'll talk about it in the next video. Like and subscribe. Thank you all for joining me, and have some hope, okay? Because we can do some things to make things better.